Hey everybody, today we have one of my favorite videos on the channel, Break and Build for Edge of Eternities. We're going to take an entire box of Edge of Eternities play boosters, which are 30 booster packs, and we're going to take these 30 booster packs and we are going to build an entire commander deck from them. Big thank you to Wizards of the Coast for making us ambassadors on this product and sending us this free product to open early. I love space. It's one of my favorite things. So we're going to crack into these space-themed Magic the Gathering packs and we're going to build the best commander deck that we can from it. I see a lot of channels these days do these break and build and boxing series. It's really nice to put a restriction on yourself as you build. This deck is going to be all themed around Edge of Eternities. We're going to crack into this box. We're going to find a legend and we're going to do the best we can to build a 100-card commander deck from it. The only thing we're giving ourselves is the usual: a command tower, a soul ring, and a signet. Big thank you to our channel patrons that power the channel through Patreon. Thank you to these people for going the extra mile and supporting us with your hard-earned dollars, baby. We appreciate you. We have our command tower, a soul ring, and our signet, like I already talked about. We're going to set those to the side. So those are the first 3 cards that are going to go into our deck. This is a fun little thing that I like to include so that we have the basics of a commander deck. I definitely could see some people being like, no, cut those and just build it from the box. You decide what's good with your play group. For me, we're fine with this kind of stuff. This is a very cheap inclusion these days. These are not expensive cards. And I do recommend whenever a new set comes out with like pre-con decks and that kind of thing, just like use those cards. Buy those cards when they're super cheap. I think like those signets cost me like 40 cents. The command tower was $0.25. I think the soul ring was like $1. So all in, it's under $2. Gods of Magic, Gods of Might, bless our blessed packs tonight. I'm not going to spend a ton of time looking at all the commons and uncommons, and the reason is it's because we need to find a commander. So in the second part of this video, we are going to go over to Moxfield. I do recommend Moxfield to anybody who likes to build their decks on the internet. So there will be part of this video after we open these packs, after we find a commander. We're going to look closely at our commons, closely at our uncommons once we find the colors that we're in. But we are kind of at the mercy of the box. So whatever we open, whatever becomes our commander, that's what we're going to build around. So we're looking for a legendary. And for those of you who don't know, the rules changed with this set. And now legendary vehicles that have a power and toughness are able to be your commander. So we're going to look through these. I'm just going to kind of like go through them quickly. So for anybody who's just kind of like getting an idea of what a box of this stuff is like at a glance, this is going to be a really good video for you. And we will set all of our rares to the side, and we will set all of our foils to the side. And we will put our basics and our tokens here. So we got our rares. Actually, let's set our rares over here. For everybody who's like, Jake is so bad with pile management. I know. I'm trying to get better. I promise. I promise I'm trying to get better. And then we'll probably find a spot for like spicy variants. I know that there are variants that appear in these boxes, but they are going to be at far less frequency than you are going to find them in the collector box. But for people who just want cards, I really do recommend the play boxes. These are great. I will read our rares. Whitestall Inquisitor, 1 white, Vigilance, 2/1. When this creature enters, each opponent exiles a card from their hand and may play that card for as long as it remains exiled. Each spell cast this way costs 1 more to cast. Each land played this way enters tapped. Ooh, freaking white. Getting its pesky, annoying, cheap drops. This is going to play right alongside stuff like Esper Sentinel. All right, here we go. Get through our commons here. Do really like the art in this set. There's some really nice stuff in here. Got our uncommons. Blade of the Swarm. Dauntless Scrapbot. Sammy, Ship's Engineer. And then we do find an Eldrazi Temple. Oh man, what a bummer. Eldrazi Temple. Jeez. Wish that had been like a Terramorphic Expanse or something. That would have been great for our deck. So it goes. We'll set it to the side. Then we do have a rare here. What was this? A rare? Yeah, rare. Okay. Then we do have a rare Nova Hellkite, Flying Haste. When this creature enters, it deals 1 damage to target creature an opponent controls, and it has Warp. Warp is a new ability. You may cast this from your hand for its warp cost. Exile this creature at the beginning of the next end step. Then you may cast it from exile at a later turn. So it's like Evoke combined with Foretell. Warp. That's my take on it. And then we do have an uncommon as our foil, a Glacier Godmaw. And then we do get these very nice looking full art lands. This is really, really pretty. Love to see that. I wish they all looked like that. What do you think of them calling it a lander token? I actually really like this effect on this artifact, but what do you think of the name of it? I want to know your thoughts. Put our shiny basics over there. Let's keep this going. I know there's probably some of you that are typing up a comment like, God, this guy doesn't even realize Eldrazi Temple's a good card. I was just trolling, man. That was actually a really good hit. It's just not going to be super good for our deck here that doesn't have a ton of Eldrazi in it. Ooh, Bombard. 4 damage to target creature. I will say this really quick before we continue. Spells like this are extremely good in a limited kind of environment like this. Even though you're building a commander deck, basic removal like this is going to end up being very good in here. So while if you were building a tuned commander deck, a card like this would never make it in. If we are in red, 100% this card will go into the deck. Removal is never going to be a bad thing. So if you do like tips as well as we build these decks, I would subscribe here because I've been playing since 2009. I know a lot about this game. I play a lot of Limited, but I also play a lot of Commander. Those are really like my formats that I love and gravitate toward the most. I have a little bit of interest in Modern and that kind of stuff. But Limited and Commander, that is the bread and butter. We have Uthros Scanship. Oh, this isn't a rare, but this is that new ability. So a really good card like Lupine Prototype, for example, like cards like that are like old and junky, have high power and toughness, but they can't attack or block, that kind of stuff. But it sure as crap can crew vehicles. So cards like that are going to, station vehicles rather. It's going to be stationed based on the power. So if something has like a high power, but it can attack or block, those are going to be really good cards to consider for decks that are centered heavily around this new station mechanic. So keep that in mind. Then we do have Pinnacle Starcage is our rare. Rare is Pinnacle Starcage. When this artifact enters exile all artifacts and creatures with mana value 2 or less until this artifact leaves the battlefield. Holy C, EDH, Batman. Oh my god. This just absolutely hoses everybody's mana rocks. And then for 6 and 2 white, put each card exiled with this artifact into its owner's graveyard. Then create a 2/2 colorless robot artifact creature token for each card put into a graveyard this way, sack this artifact. Jeez. What an annoying rare. This card is amazing. This card is amazing. Focus Fire, and then a Swamp. And then we have another Lander token and a Robot. I feel like this playbox might get a spicy hit. I don't know where to put this basic. I'm just going to put it here with this foil. Or no, here's our foils. Jake, figure out the piles, man. Come on. Get through our commons and uncommons. Still looking for that legendary creature that we could build a deck around. As Magic the Gathering products come out, and we know that they're kind of pricey, but, figuring out a way to get the most out of your collection, that's really what this series is about. I know that some of you are going to be opening these boxes and you're going to be cherry picking cards for your favorite decks, and I get that too. But actually being able to utilize an entire box, that's like a really, really good thing. That's something where it's like, okay, we're getting the most out of our money. And then you have a fun deck that you can look back on from, oh, when I bought Edge of Eternities, I didn't get a precon, but I did get a play box and I built an entire commander deck from it. And it was very fun. And maybe if you like it a lot, you just go ahead and build yourself or tune the deck up. You have 0 Point Ballad, a black and X. Sorcery, destroy all creatures with toughness X or less. You lose X life. If X is 6 or more, return a creature card from your graveyard this way to the battlefield under your control. So that's kind of cool. It's a fun little rare. Sorry if you heard that airplane in the background. I live right next to an airport, so it's always just like, oh, a plane. I feel like they wait for my videos to start. Those jerks. And we do find another one of these full art lands. Really like the art on this. I did open a collector box of this stuff, but seeing the non-foil version of this, I am a fan. I am a fan of it. Another lander and another robot. Still looking for a legendary creature. It's going to be really sad if this break and build turns into an opening. Just a basic opening. Dark Endurance, Black Waltz card right there. We like it. Pinnacle Kill Ship. Oh, man. We're going to have to call that a Pinnacle Unalive ship here on the channel. Debris Field Crusher. Let's go. It's a fun card. And then we also have a Sledge class Seed ship. This is going to have something to do with basic lands. We got another plane coming in, everybody, which I guess works with Edge of Eternities because ships flying in the air is a theme here. 2 and a green, artifact spacecraft station. Flying. When the spacecraft attacks, you may put a creature card from your hand onto the battlefield. So it's called a seed ship, but there's nothing going on with like lands or anything like that. So kind of confused, but that's fine. Honor, put a 1/1 counter on target creature, draw a card. I like little cards like this that cantrip and just have a fun little effect. This is also good for limited. If we are in those colors, we will probably run it because drawing more cards, you're going to see more cards, and it's not an effect that's completely useless. So, kind of cool. Lots of landers, lots of robots. I'm going to take a sip of my drink. What are we going to build? We need to find something big. Maybe it's going to be that red-white lobster. That red-white lobster could be really fun. There we go. We got a land here. When it enters, sacrifice it unless you tap an untapped permanent you control. Add 1 mana of any color. Dude! Command Bridge is so freaking good! This is such a good commander card. Holy shnikes. Card is freaking amazing. God, I needed to look more at this set. Look more at it ahead of time. I think I remember someone talking about that card now. We do have a Starwinder here. A 5 and 2 blue 7/7 Leviathan. Whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, you may draw that many cards. Absolutely gross. Get out of here. Warp it in. It's disgusting. Wow. Jeez, this thing is good. Being able to do that early so that you could draw cards and then know you could get this late for its actual cost. The versatility on these things, man. Cards with good versatility like this end up being extremely attractive to people. Then we have Drill 2 Deep is our foil. Destroy target artifact or put 5 charge counters on target spacecraft or planet you control. Seems like it's going to be very good for stationing vehicles. Don't know how drilling 2 deep has much to do with stationing something, but, you know, whatever. I feel like that's a Armageddon reference from when they're like digging into the planet and then they end up breaking the first drill. You've had years to watch it, okay? It's not a spoiler. Forget I said anything. Jeez. Got the microsizer. And then we do have an artifact. Spacecraft is our rare 8 cost 10/10 on this guy. When it enters, destroy target non-creature permanent, then the spacecraft deals 4 damage to each creature. This seems like an M-Scare card. And then you can station, tap another creature you control, put charge counters on it equal to its power, and then after it has 5 or more, it becomes a flying trampler. 10/10, flying trample. Seems good. Seems very strong. Set that to the side. That's a rare. And then Lost in Space is our foil. So far, one big variant, and it is the Eldrazi Temple. Other than that, we've seen regular foils. We did find this one Plains that has a unique variant on it. But let's keep on going. All right, get to our uncommons here. Tapestry Warden. Wait, that's a legendary creature, Jellyfish Advisor. We could set that to the side. That is a potential commander for our deck. I will go ahead and read it in a second. Then we have Requiem Monolith is our rare. Until end of turn, target creature gains whenever this creature is dealt damage. You draw that many cards and lose that much life. That creature's controller may have this artifact deal 1 damage to it. Activate only as a sorcery. Whenever this creature is dealt damage, you draw that many cards. Wow. This is good. Really incentivizes blockers. It's a fun rare. And then we do have a Pinnacle Kill Ship is our foil. Let me do a quick scan through our uncommons, and I want to make sure that I didn't miss any other legends. I think that is our first legendary creature. Oh, nope. We missed that guy too, and I'm happy that we are figuring this out. All right, so we do have 2 potential commanders. To the person in chat or in the comments that already said, hey, you missed Sammy, ship's engineer. Yes, I'm sorry, but I caught it. I caught it. We're good. 2, a red and a white. Legendary creature, human advisor. At the beginning of your end step, if you control 2 or more tapped creatures, create a tap 2/2 colorless robot artifact creature token. This isn't a bad generic commander. It puts us in a red-white. It gives us the opportunity to, you know, make creatures if we have creatures that are tapped, which we likely will if we're playing commander. If we're doing like a limited commander, we're not building a combo deck. This is going to be a deck that has creatures, and you're going to need to turn them sideways. The other option that we have here is Earthos Exile. 1, a blue and a red. Legendary creature, Jellyfish Advisor. Okay, that makes more sense why that name is weird. It's a jellyfish. Whenever this artifact you control enters, put a 1/1 counter on target creature. Okay, cool. Whenever an artifact you control enters, put a 1/1 counter on target creature. This is so good. This is an artifact-heavy set. This is going to be something that could be our commander. We'll set our commanders to the side over here, and as we pull more of them, we will analyze them as well. Pretty sweet, though, that we've already found a Boros and a Jeskai commander. Or not Jeskai. They're Jeskai together. But we found a Boros and an Izzet commander as our first possibilities. Hard Light Containment. 1 white, enchantment aura. Enchant an artifact you control. When this aura enters, exile target creature an opponent controls until this aura leaves the battlefield. Enchant permanent has ward 1. Wow. So we enchant something, give it ward 1, and when it enters, we exile target creature an opponent controls. It's like a path to exile that gives something ward. This is extremely good. It's not instant speed. If it had flash, I'd be like, forget about it, dude. Be very good with flash. Vault Guard Trooper. 4 in a red, 5/5. At the beginning of your end step, if you control 2 or more tapped creatures, you may discard your hand. If you do, draw 2 cards. Okay, cool. So that would go into our red-white deck over there. Seems like a really good Kavu. I love that Kavu were brought back in this set. Seems really fun. Do find another land there. Getting through the first 10 packs here. Wow, and we're doing it at record speed compared to our old break-in builds. Typically, I'd be reading every single common and uncommon, but that's going to make a lot more sense later in the vehicle when... Vehicles on the mind, chat. Later on in the video, when we have picked a commander, that's going to make a lot more sense for us to read through those cards. We're going to be like, okay, what commanders do we have? Then we'll look through and see what we got. We got Devastating Onslaught. First mythic of the box. We'll go ahead and set our mythics right here next to our rares in the middle. Red, an X, and X. Sorcery. Create X tokens that are copies of target artifact or creature you control. Those tokens gain haste until end of turn. Sacrifice them at the beginning of the next end step. Interesting spell we have going on here. Create X tokens that are copies of target artifact or creature you control. Wow, if you're in big mana, you can do something silly with this card, man. Jeez. First mythic of the box there. Then we do have a Flight Deck Coordinator is our rare. Getting into the second column. Getting into the second column here. Let's crack on in. Plasma Bolt, Hull Carver, Mental Modulation, Lux Knight, Zealous Display, Galactic Wayfarer, Rescue Skiff, Siege Ship Brood Tender. Wait, that's an uncommon. Disculpting Blast, and a Scavenging Grounds. Second one of these, Land Desert, and then you can sacrifice a desert, exile all graveyards. This card is good, and also the art on it slaps, man. This is some pretty sick art going on in this one. Love to see these in here. Love to see these in play boosters. A lot of value there in having these in play boosters. Then we do have a legendary artifact spacecraft here. So this can be our commander because it has a power and toughness. 2 white and 1. When the Seremia enters, search your library for a legendary creature card, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle. Then you can station it for 7+. So once you've put 7 power worth of tapped creatures into this, it gains flying, and other tapped legendary creatures you control have indestructible. Is this a Joda card? I am getting Joda vibes from this thing. Being able to swing with my creatures and they have indestructible seems good. This goes right alongside Venat. Then we do have a foil rare here. Sorcery, destroy all creatures with toughness X or less. You lose X life. That's pretty cool. If X is 6 or more, return a creature card put into a graveyard this way to the battlefield under your control. Wow, we have a board wipe that brings something back. That's one of the most annoying things about doing a board wipe is sometimes you don't have a creature to follow it up. Having this seems very, very good. So if we do go into black, this will absolutely be put into our deck. Having a board wipe in our deck seems very strong. I'm going to put this foil... Excuse me. I'm going to put this foil rare right down here under our mythic. The piles are getting weirder today, folks. The piles have reached a new level of weird. This is the first time we're putting 2 right... It doesn't matter. I'm not going to try to describe how a pattern works while we're doing an opening video. I'm just going to try to focus and get stuff done here. Turn the camera a little bit so it's actually on my face. All right, we have Gravekill. Oh, there's something spicy in the back there. Wait. It's an uncommon. We have Gravekill. Just exile target creature or spacecraft. Instant speed exile in a limited commander kind of setting. Going to be very good. Vault Guard. Got the craft here. Got a Might. All Fates Stalker. And then we do have a planet here. Oh, this is the Gaia's Cradle-esque planet. Avendo Waking Haven. Wow. Land planet. It enters tapped. Tap to add green. You station it for 12+. Once you've stationed this thing, you tap it, and you add a green for each creature you control. Now, you do have to pay green and tap it, so it takes this and another land to do it. But that just kind of speaks to how powerful Gaia's Cradle is. Cards like Growing Rights of Itlamok, cards like that are like Gaia's Cradle. I was just talking about 3 Tree City with one of my friends. Cards like that have become more and more popular. You're starting to see cards like Growing Rights appear in more and more CEDH decks. So look out for stuff like that. Avendo, second mythic, and this is one that I am very excited about. That's a really fun card. Wormwall Sweeper. You have a 2 cost here is our common, and then, oh, it was a mountain I saw back there. Common foil, Wormwall Sweeper, and then we do get a full art mountain. The mountain looks absolutely great. Love the non-foil versions of these. Cards do look really good. Nice and flat. Same is true with our foils. I know people are like, what's the foil quality like? The foil quality looks really good, guys. This is our foil rare. Nice and flat. Let's keep on going here. Second mythic, being the Cradle planet, is pretty freaking sick. I'm a fan of that. Auxiliary boosters, Plasma Bolt. Looking for another option for our commander, Creature Lizard Artificer. That is not a rare, but we do find a Starfield Vocalist. This is a human bard, a blue and 3. If a permanent entering the battlefield causes a triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger, that ability triggers an additional time, and it has warp. I am a fan of this warp stuff. Getting to do something early and then getting the card again later, I'm a fan of that. I like it more than like the God, what was the ability from Dragonstorm called? Omen? Because then it shuffles into the deck. I like this better because you get the effect and then you're able to play it again later. It's just in exile and you can pay it for its actual cost to get it. I think that that's very good. I do think Omen has its own specific utility that's also good. And the reason is because the Omen stuff, you can play it again for its Omen. I'm just putting all the basics together. This is confusing me. It's hurting my brain. And I know it's annoying, chat. Just want the piles to be perfect. My OCD is showing. Here we go. Radiant Strike. There's some uncommons here. Mouth of the Storm. There we go. Legendary Creature. Here we go. Halia. Ascendant Cadet. 2 a green and 2 white. Legendary Creature. Human Soldier. Whenever it enters or attacks, put a 1/1 counter on target creature you control. Whenever one or more creatures you control with 1/1 counters on them deal combat damage to a player, draw a card. So whenever it enters or attacks, put a 1/1 counter on target creature you control. I mean, this seems very good. It's draw built into our commander. There aren't a lot of hoops you have to jump through in order to make this thing able to attack. You just like attack with it. And you can put the counters on itself. If you're like, okay, I want to make sure that Halia is out of range of like damage and that kind of stuff. You know, it's like there's nothing you can really do about spot removal, but being able to actually do stuff and like build its power and toughness up so that it's out of range of like combat damage seems very good. So that's an option for our commander. We find a Selesnya option. Then we do find Fell Graveship, another uncommon. And then we find Sathera, the Super Void. Legendary enchantment. 2 and 2 black. Love the art on this. Legendary enchantment. Whenever a creature you control dies, each opponent chooses a creature they control and exiles it. Jeez. Grave Pack vibes, anybody? At the beginning of your end step, if a player controls no creatures, sacrifice Sathera, then put a creature card exiled with it onto the battlefield under your control with 2 additional 1/1 counters on it. So it has Grave Pack vibes, it has Pestilent vibes, or Pestilence vibes. This thing seems very, very good. Seems very... Oh my god, and we got a foil mythic, baby. Got a foil mythic. Mythic foil mythic pack. What's going to be in it? It is a Dawnsire. Legendary Artifact Spacecraft is our foil mythic. Holy cow. 5 cost 20/20 after it's stationed. At 10, whenever you attack, Dawnsire deals 100 damage to up to 1 target creature or planeswalker. Jesus. If you have repercussion on the battlefield, yeah, swing 100. Okay. You take 100. Gross. Swing, your creature takes 100, you take 100 because of repercussion. Then, at 20 plus, it becomes a flying 20/20. So you have 2 levels of station with this card. Dude, this thing is amazing. I know this is not going to be able to be our commander, but this will absolutely be in one of our decks. This thing is a house. It has removal built into it. It becomes a win condition as a flyer. It's like a win condition already. Like being, I mean, it's so much like removal. It's just freaking awesome. You just got to station this and get it to 10, and then you are cruising. We'll put that foil mythic down here. Then we do have a foil swamp. We'll put our foil swamp in this freaking pile here. Come on, dude. Oh, the battle of me just trying to open packs, I will tell you. So far, I am very pleased with this box. I do feel like that Dawnsire and that Sathera in the same pack, that was quite the pack. Do find a rare Sunset Saboteur. Menache word is draw a card, and whenever this creature attacks, put a 1/1 counter on target creature and opponent controls. So 4/1 Menace. This is a build around. A 4/1 Menace is no joke. They have to deal with that. And the ward cost on this is really freaking pesky. This card is amazing. This card is freaking amazing. This belongs in a 60 card constructed deck. Not a legend though. Umbral Collar Zealot is our foil rare. And we do find a forest. So far we have a mono white commander is an option. It's a vehicle. We have a Selesnya option. We have an Izzet option, and we have a Boros option. Can't wait to look through what we actually open, or our removal in our actual deck. Got the Infiltrator. Rare is going to be Loading Zone. If one or more counters would be put on a creature, spacecraft, or planet you control, twice that many of each of those kinds of counters are put on it instead. Then it also has Warp. So this seems very good. It's an enchantment that kind of reminds me of, like, you know, Doubling Season, that kind of stuff. If one or more counters would be put on a creature, spacecraft, or planet you control, twice that many. This is going to be very, very good for stationing stuff. Seems like a very good rare. And something that's going to make it into a lot of commander decks. Nebula Dragon. Ooh, that's a spooky looking lander. And a Robot. Getting through our center column here. Banishing Light, very good in this type of format. Another command bridge. Those command bridges are good. We got Honor. Galvanizing Sawship. Rare is... Oh, here we go. Well, if we want to go 5-color, we have found the card to do it. Infinite. Guideline Station. Wooburg, Legendary Artifact, Spacecraft. Whenever Infinite Guideline Station... Guideline. Whenever Infinite Guideline Station enters, create a tap 2/2 colorless robot artifact creature token for each multicolored permanent you control. Then you can station it. Becomes a 7/15 when there are 12 or more counters on it. Flying, whenever Infinite Guideline Station attacks, draw a card for each multicolored permanent you control. This seems very good as well. Is this a Joda card? Maybe it is. Maybe it is, but it's definitely an option to be our commander, and it's a pretty spicy one too. If we build an infinite deck, that seems very fun. I don't know if we have the fixing for it. I would focus on probably lander tokens, everything with lander tokens, so that we can make sure to fix and have all of our colors. That seems like probably a way to go. Make sure to stick around to the second half of this video, where we are going to be using Moxfield to import our entire deck and take a closer look at it. Moxfield is a really good way for you to organize your decks on the internet. They have really cool tags that you can use so that you can tag cards as removal, not just instants, not just sorceries, that kind of stuff. Deserted Temple is a mythic that we pull. Mythic land here taps to add 1 colorless, or you can pay 1 to tap to untap target land. As far as cards that go well with stuff like Gaia's Cradle, this is definitely one of them. Holy cannoli, dude. Seems like a really good card. We got a mythic, and then we do find a Rust Harvester is our rare. 1 red artifact creature robot menace. Exile an artifact card from your graveyard. Put a 1/1 counter on this creature. Then it deals damage equal its power to any target. That seems very good. Then we do have a foil. Excuse me. Then we do have a foil uncommon All Fates Stalker. And another full art land. This one's a forest. Oops. Get through our commons here. Banishing Light, another one. We got a Corgi. Got a Vanguard. Molecular. Scour for Scrap. Ooh, Stomping Ground. Oh man, is that a sign? Is that a sign that we have to go for Infinite Guideline Station? We're getting really good fixing here. Followed by a Regast. And this is the Triumphant frame. That looks really good. Artifacts you control are foods in addition to their other types and have 2. Sack this artifact, you gain 3 life. For 1 and tap, sack a food. Ragast deals 3 damage to each opponent. Dude. It's going to be very hard for me to not want to build this lobster right now. At the beginning of each end step, if you gain life this turn, untap him. So artifacts you control are foods in addition to their other types and have pay 2 and tap, sack it, you gain 3 life, just like a food. And for 1 and tap, sack a food, it deals 3 damage to each opponent. So we could run like red, white lander tokens. Dude, this thing looks awesome. Love the art on this. We found the lobster, citizen, everybody. We found the lobster. We'll put that up here with our special variants next to our lands here. We are having a pretty good playbox here, not gonna lie. I'm a fan of how this playbox looks right now. Finding some fun variants, finding some good lands, finding stuff like Stomping Ground in a set. This never feels bad. Love to see it. We found Dawnsire, Foil, Legendary, Mythic, Sothera, the Super Void. That's a card that has a ton of hype around it. It's the big chase card in the collector booster. There's like a spicy variant of it. Rescue Skiff, Insect Citizen, a Blast, and we have a Terra Symbiosis enchantment. Whenever you put 1 or more 1/1 counters on a creature you control, you may draw that many cards. Do this only once each turn. What is with all of these extremely good enchantments in this set? This is a really good card. Just gonna say, Increasing Savagery from Dark Ascension. I know that set is like the redheaded stepchild that lives under the stairs. But that set, Dark Ascension, has some good stuff in it. And I do believe it was Dark Ascension that had Increasing Savagery. It wasn't Innistrad, was it? I think it was Dark Ascension. Terra Symbiosis. This card is good. This card is good. We're finding some fun stuff in here. We got 10 packs left, and then we have to build the deck with what we got. And so far, we found some good stuff. This guy can actually be our commander, so he's supposed to go in this pile. We'll move our commander options up here now that we are getting through our packs. Let's keep going. We still got 10 packs left. I feel like this box has been very good to us. Thank you again to Wizards for sending us this product so that we could take a look at it early, make some videos out of it, cultivate all the hype. I know that's what people are going to say in the comments. This only exists for hype. We do find a Godless Shrine, though. Geez, these play boxes are actually really, 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 really good. And this is just like, I think we're going to be going into Infinite Guideline Station at this point. We have found some really good fixing, and then we find another rare. Jeez. All right, we will put the Godless Shrine up here. That's pretty sick. Entropic Battle Cruiser. 3 and a black for a 3/10 station. Once it has 1 or more counters on it, whenever an opponent discards a card, they lose 3 life. And then once it has 8+ counters on it, flying, death touch, and becomes a 3/10. So that's pretty sweet as well. Whenever this spacecraft attacks, each opponent discards a card. Each opponent who can't loses 3 life. Seems good. Seems very good. Gene Pollinator. Tap it, untap permanent you control. Add 1 mana of any color. This seems like something that we would use if we do decide to go Infinite Guideline Station as our commander, which I am leaning toward more and more so now, especially because we have a couple lands that are very good. We found the Godless Shrine. What do you think of this viewport treatment, by the way? What do you think of this? Lots of negative space there. but it does have a very interesting look to it. Cool to get shocklands in this set. Let's see if we can find another shockland. It's also interesting that they did a combination of ally and enemy shocklands in this set. That's not something that you typically see. Typically they go all allied or all enemy, but this set they have a mix. And then we do find, ooh, oh baby, wow. An Earthos Titanic God Core. Land, planet. This land enters tapped. Tap to add blue in station. Oh man, what a play pack. What is going on? This effect, though, not so good. Blue and tap, add blue for each artifact you control. I don't think any deck is ever going to be able to utilize that ability. Well, if you feel differently, leave it in the comments. But it does look cool. Then we do find a foil common here, Cryo Shatter. Now this is way better than that card that we just pulled. Am I right? Jeez. This playbox is kind of insane, not gonna lie. We found the Cradle land. We found the Tolarian Academy land. Tolarian Academy, it's not a good card. They banned it so that people don't play it because it's bad. Remnant Elemental, and then we do find, ooh, this looks so nice. Look how cool that is. I have seen a lot of people talking about this one. We have a Mythic Triumphant frame here, Tenuk Steadfast Second, 2 and 2 red. Legendary creature Kavu Pilot. Other creatures you control have haste. Artifact cards are red. Artifact cards and red creature cards in your hand have warp. Dude, there are going to be some people brewing around this. I've already seen a lot of people brewing around it. I love the art on this as well. The kind of like the color theory going on here with the reds and the greens and the yellows. Aesthetically, this thing is freaking beautiful. Love it. Love what's going on. And it's also a legendary creature, so that could be our commander. Then we find a Lash Whip Predator. Seems pretty good. Lander goes over here. Chat, we are down to, or commenters, we are down to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 packs remaining here. Cryo Shatter. Shattered wings, take the shattered wings. Through our uncommons here. Wedgelight Rammer. And our rare is a Choracle of the Void. Choracle, I said. Which is a combination of whatever the name of this card is and Oracle. And probably Thoracle. Chorale of the Void. 3 and a black. Enchantment Aura. Enchant creature you control. Whenever enchanted creature attacks, put target creature card from defending player's graveyard onto the battlefield under your control tapped and attacking. Void at the beginning of your end step. Sacrifice this aura unless a non-land permanent left the battlefield this turn or a spell was warped this turn. This, to me, looks like a fantastic card. Absolutely fantastic card for Shadow Mysterious Assassin from Final Fantasy. This seems like the bread and butter in a deck like that, and it makes me want to build Shadow that much more. This card, freaking awesome. Frontline War Rager is our foil. We have just a few packs left here, everybody, and then we are going to pick a commander and build a deck. Got a lizard. Reroute systems. Uncommon landfall. Whenever a land you control enters, you gain a life. And our rare is a weapons manufacturer, and this is a card that I'm very excited about. Enchantment. Whenever a non-token artifact you control enters, create a colorless artifact token named Munitions with, when this token leaves the battlefield, it deals 2 damage to any target. Seems very fun. And then our foil common is Bombard, which we have already pulled many times at this point. We're down to our final 5 packs here. I'm seeing some fun options for legends at this point. Pretty much the only one that we haven't found is a legend that could just be black to support all of these really good cards like Sothera and 0 Point Ballad and the one card that we just read, Chorail. So looking for something that isn't... Oh, there we go. Legendary creature. Servandum, the Lucent. 2 a white and 2 black. Legendary creature, human knight. Death touch, lifelink. When Servandum enters or attacks, other creatures you control get +1/+0 and gain death touch until end of turn. It seems like a very good effect. Giving our team death touch disincentivizes blockers for our opponents. This could be a very fun commander. And then we do find a Codecracker Hound. It's a dog. Hi, BB. Looks like he's eating Mendicant Core. Put our uncommons there. Edge Rover. Ooh, a Sacred Foundry. Oh, man. More and more and more. They keep pointing to us saying, hey, do the deck with the 5 color. Just go 5 color. Do we do it? Here's a Sacred Foundry now. So you found a Stomping Ground, and then you also find a Sacred Foundry. Now, what's interesting about this, I'm just going to show you this, is on the back, this is how you tell the difference between enemy lands, or enemy colors and allied colors. If they're next to each other, they're allied colors. Green-white, white-blue, blue-black, black-red, red-green. Those are allied colors. Enemy colors are the ones that are across from each other. White-red, white-black, green-blue, blue-red, black-green. If they're across from each other, they're enemy colors. If they're next to each other, they're allied colors. So this set has Sacred Foundry. These are enemy colors, red and white. We've already pulled the Wooded Foothills, red-green. Those are allied colors. And then we pulled a Godless Shrine, white-black, enemy colors. So in this set, the lands that they gave us, which kind of says to me that the next set that's going to be standard legal is probably going to have the 5 that we didn't get here. So we'll put that into our rare or mythic pile, or rare pile. Then we also have Servandum. Wait a minute. Oh, this was the Servandum pack. Okay, we have Servandum the Lucent, but now we have a 2-cost Servandum. Vigilance Menace 2/2. I like it. Whenever another creature you control dies or is put into exile, put a 1/1 counter on Servandum and you gain a life. When it dies or is put into exile while it's powered 4 or greater, destroy up to 1 target non-land permanent. So it's a commander that we can cast a lot. When it dies, we have built-in removal. This seems pretty good. I asked for a commander with black. That pack gave us 2. And it gave us a swamp. So that's pretty sweet. Just a few packs left here. 4 packs remaining. Sorry, we like to take our time with these, but we aren't reading every common. We aren't reading every uncommon, so as to get through this in a reasonable amount of time. But we do hope that you've enjoyed this box opening. Hope it has given you a good idea of what this set is like. We find a Frenzied Baloth. 2 green for a 3/2. This spell can't be countered. Trample Haste. Creature spells you control can't be countered, so kind of like the Serpapard that came out. And combat damage can't be prevented. It seems very good as well. Lightless Evangel is our foil. Plains and a Lander token. All right, here we go. Ancient Tomb. Here it comes. This pack. Ancient Tomb pack, baby. This is the one. Love that card, Command Bridge. Very big fan. Got the Infiltrator again. Ooh. Legendary artifact creature construct. A white, a green, and X for a 0/1. Trample. Diadrene enters with the number of 1/1 counters on it equal to the amount of mana spent to cast it. Okay, so it scales with the game. And whenever you attack, you may remove a 1/1 counter from each of 2 creatures you control. If you do, draw a card and create a 2/2 colorless robot artifact creature token. So it has draw, it scales with the game. This is definitely worth considering, and I feel like it definitely goes in the Halea deck if we don't build it. Then we do find another Sarima. This is the second time that we've pulled this. You can see we pulled it here, and now we have pulled it again. And we do find a foil common. Whenever you cast your second spell each turn, put a 1/1 counter on this creature. Lander token, 2 packs left. No Ancient Tomb. Okay, we'll give them another chance here. Can we pull the Ancient Tomb now? Now is it going to be here? There we go. Basic red-green beats. Tannic, Memorial, Ensign. Oh, man. Just eviscerate me in the comments of the video. It's fine. Legendary creature Kavu Pilot. Landfall. Whenever a land you control enters, it deals 1 damage to each opponent. If this is the second time this ability has resolved this turn, draw a card. So landfall matters. He's pinging everybody. This gives me Black Waltz vibes except for landfall. I think I like it. And this is a guy that if you're running stuff like, oh man, Furnace of Wrath, stuff like City on Fire, this ability can become very disgusting very, very quickly. Definitely worth considering as our commander if we see how much landfall we get. And we do get a rare Memorial Vault. 3 in a red, artifact, sack another artifact, exile the top X cards of your library where X is 1 plus the mana value of the sacrifice artifact. You may play those cards this turn. Pretty good. And a Virus Beetle is our foil. Last pack of the box. This box has been pretty fun. Let us know what you think of the opening, but also stick around because we are going to pick a commander and then build the deck. Then once we have the deck built, we're going to port it into Moxfield and take a closer look. Let's see what we find here at the end. Rare is a Thrumming Hive Pool. Slivers matters card, affinity for slivers, so this definitely won't go in our deck because there are like slivers cards in this, but we didn't pull any slivers. No slivers were actually printed in this. So this might be a card that's preparing us for a future set, something like that. They're just like printing it here, leaving us an Easter egg saying, hey, slivers are coming in the future, just not right now. Affinity for slivers. They have double strike and haste. At the beginning of your upkeep, create 2 1/1 colorless sliver creature tokens. Because it just gives us like dudes, maybe we run it, but for the most part, probably not gonna use this card. And then we do find an uncommon foil in the close, Atmospheric Greenhouse. 4 and a green for a 5/4. When the spacecraft enters, put a 1/1 counter on each creature you control, and then station, flying, and trample. All right, so let's look through. I want to see how much actual fixing there is, because if we find a lot of fixing, there's part of me that's like, maybe we just build infinite guideline station and then just go crazy. So these are our commander options right here. You got infinite guideline station, Tannic, which is like a landfall, hit everybody kind of thing. Mono white, probably not going to happen. You have this one, which is whenever it enters with a number of 1/1 counters on it equal to the amount of mana spent to cast it, and then whenever you attack, you may remove a 1/1 counter from each of 2 creatures you control if you do draw a card and create a 2/2. So it's like if you remove counters, you're going to make creatures draw cards. You have this one, which is like a menace kind of thing that also has like a counter synergy built in. It also has permanent destruction built into it. You have Servandum that's just going to give the team Death Touch when it attacks. Whenever it enters or attacks, other creatures you control get +1/+0 and gain death touch until end of turn. So when it attacks, everybody's getting death touch. It has death touch. It has lifelink. This seems like a very good, strong, generic commander for like a limited style kind of thing. This is a card that I think is an incredible commander card, but I don't think we can go mono red. So if we do end up going like something that's like red beats, we probably put this in there. We do have this one, Regast, Deft Gastronaut. It's a 2/2 for 2. It's going to make our artifacts foods. It has 3 damage to each opponent built into it if we sacrifice a food. So there's that. It makes our artifacts food, so we can sacrifice our artifacts, deal 3 to everybody. That seems really fun. We have Halia, Ascendant Cadet. 5 costs 3/3. Whenever it enters or attacks, put a 1/1 counter on target creature you control, itself or something else. Whenever one or more creatures you control with 1/1 counters on them deal combat damage to a player, draw a card. So it has the draw built into it as well, which on a commander is always very good. It's also in green, so we can ramp and we can cast it multiple times if it gets removed a lot. We have this one, which is fun. Whenever an artifact you control enters, put a 1/1 counter on target creature. So it's a 1/3 for 3 that's going to make stuff bigger if we play a lot of artifacts. Probably a build around because there are going to be artifacts in the set, but probably not enough to really like get the most out of this card. And then we do have Sammy at the beginning of your end step. If you control 2 or more tapped creatures, create a tap 2/2 colorless robot. So this is going to make extra dudes if we have tapped creatures. So this seems nice and easy and generic enough to build around. So of the stuff that we opened, the stuff that seems the easiest to build around, probably going to be... So Servandum, whenever another creature you control dies or is put into exile, put a 1/1 counter on it. You gain a life. Whenever it dies or is put into exile while its power is 4 or greater. I mean, that seems pretty good. I do believe we could build around that. And then I do believe that we could build this. Now, Infinite. It costs Wooburg to get out. Whenever it enters, create a tap 2/2 colorless robot artifact creature token for each multicolored permanent you control. So it's going to bring a lot of stuff. And then it also has Station, and once we get 12 or more counters on it, whenever it attacks, draw a card for each multicolored permanent you control. The issue with this is once it becomes a creature, if there's no protection for it, it's just going to get removed. It's freaking amazing, but like you have to play it, then you have to station it up. Then once it's stationed, you have to hope that it doesn't just get hit with like a freaking, path. We didn't open any sort of stuff like Lightning Greaves. There might be something in here that gives something protection until end of turn, but this card seems kind of risky. Now the other stuff in here, even though it's good, I think this is just stuff that is probably like a build around and you would need more cards outside of the set to get the most out of it. So I think even though this guy's risky business and even though it looks super fun, I think it's a little too risky to build the deck around. Now I'm going to go ahead and separate everything by color, and we're going to make a final choice based on the kind of removal that we have now that we know what kind of options we have for our commanders. We're probably going to build one of these. So I'm going to be looking heavily at white. We have a lot of white in here. We have some red in here and also black. I know that we got some very good black cards, so I'm leaning toward black-white. The other option that's cool with Infinite is it gives us the option to just build like a 3-color deck or even a 4-color deck. Like say all of these that are 2-color, you got red, white, green, white, and so on. Infinite actually puts us into any 3-color wedge we want to build, or 4-color. So what we could do is we could say we're going to use this as our commander, but then expect to never really cast it. It just puts us into 3 colors, and we can just do like generic good stuff within a certain color combination. So Infinite gives us infinite possibilities as far, well, they're not infinite possibilities. They're based on the colors that are available here. But it does seem like an interesting card if we decide, hey, we want to build, Bant or Teamer or something like that. But now I'm going to go ahead and order these piles, and then we're going to see what we come up with. All right, folks, so here we go. We've went ahead, we've organized everything. We have everything organized by uncommon, common, uncommon, common for each of our colors. Now, what we have to do is go through and see what the removal looks like. I want to look at bombs and I want to look at removal. So bombs are any sort of card, like a creature that's big, and if it goes unanswered, it's going to win the game. Removal, very basic. Removal is, I need to get rid of your bomb. I need to get rid of your commander. So we saw that we had a lot of really good stuff with stuff like Sothera, cards like this, with stuff like 0 Point Ballad, stuff like this. So because we have really good black cards that are going to allow us to actually kind of like do some board wiping type stuff, that seems like a really smart direction to take this. So we might go with Servandum. We might go with the other Servandum, or we may go with Infinite if we find that we really like black-white, and then we want to splash another color or something like that. Or if by the time we go through and look through all of this, which is what we're going to do now, we're going to see what our fixing looks like and that kind of stuff. And now's the point of the video where I'm going to look through everything and figure out where the best direction we can go is based on what we've opened. If you're following along, let me know in the comments right now where you think that you would be going based on what we've opened so far. An important thing that I want to go through as well is we're going to want to look through all of our rares. Looking through our rares and our mythics is going to inform us on if we have some very big stuff that we can do, like Entropic Battlecruiser. This becomes kind of like a win con. Chirel of the Void. This is a card that seems like if we can build around it, we're going to do some serious damage. Yeah, is there anything in here that really sticks out? You know, Requiem Monolith, for example. This thing, just a generic 10/10 for 8. Like, sure, you have to station it up in order to make it a flying trampler. This can go in any deck. So the fact that there's a lot of colorless stuff in this set is really good as well. But as of right now, looking like we got 2 0 Point Ballad. We can't play both of them because it's a commander deck and it's a singleton format. This isn't like limited commander that you might do like a commander draft at like, you know, a convention or something like that. This is building a box. You still want to use those commander rules that are one card or one copy of a card per deck, or else you kind of get into this weird kind of like zone of like it isn't actually commander. I've seen some people do these boxing series where it's like you can use as many copies of as you want of a card, and that isn't what we're doing here. We're actually building around the rules of commander, and the only thing that we're doing that's different is these were not in the box, the Arcane Signet, the Soul Ring, and the Command Tower. We are allowing ourselves this so that our deck can function like most commander decks will. You're going to see like 99% of commander decks are probably going to run these 3 cards. As I mentioned in the beginning of this video, these 3 cards cost less than $2 total. It was probably like $1.50 for all 3 of them. I buy these copies of these cards when a set comes out and you get a bunch of precons going onto the market, because you have people that break open those precons, sell the singles, and stuff like this falls to the bottom and you're able to get it at dirt cheap prices. So definitely take advantage of that kind of stuff in the future, especially if you're the kind of person that likes to build a lot of commander decks. Now, when I draft limited, and I'm going to translate this to this, when I draft limited, there's things that I keep in mind that need to go into my deck. There's an acronym called BREAK, B-R-E-A-K. So the B of that acronym are bombs. I'm going to look for bombs in here, cards that are going to win, like big stuff like this. Like this would be considered a bomb. Once you station it, like 10 plus, you get this thing. But once you get to 20 plus, it becomes a flying 20/20. That is a bomb. That is a card that, if left unanswered, is going to win the game. Now, the R in the BREAK acronym stands for removal. So I'm going to look through all of my colors, specifically white and black, and I'm going to pull out all the best removal and see what we can find there. E stands for evasion. So stuff like unblockable, stuff like flying. E is like, the E for evasion is going to be like creatures that are going to be able to evade. Things that are going to be out of range, like hexproof would be good evasion. And then A is abilities, and K stands for crap, which is like everything else. I know that the crap is not spelled with a K, but that is the acronym BREAK, and it works very well in limited. And because we're building a commander deck from a limited perspective, we're going to look for bombs, we're going to look for removal. If our opponent plays something very big and very splashy, that's something that we want to remove. So you're never going to feel bad about having too much removal in a situation like this. So let's go ahead and dig into our uncommons and our commons and see what we can find as far as bombs and removal and that kind of stuff. A very important pile right now is going to be our rare pile. So we're going to look through this, see if there's anything here that just absolutely belongs in the deck, and then we'll go from there. So looking through here just at a glance, I don't see anything that's like sticking out to me as like must be in the deck. Like this is pretty good. This becomes a pretty big bomb, but at the same time, this is a card that could go in any deck. It's colorless. This is pretty good in blue. Starwinder. Whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, you may draw that many cards. That is a pretty big card there. The other stuff in here is like situational stuff. We do have a dragon, flying haste. When this creature enters, it deals 1 damage to target creature an opponent controls, and it has warp. So that's kind of an interesting card. Then we do have this vigilance 2/1. So I think what we're going to do is we're really going to depend on our commons and uncommons to see what kind of deck we can build here. You know what I'm going to do is I'm going to speed things up, and I'm going to eliminate duplicates. All right, so this is pretty much essential. I went ahead and I removed all the duplicates. So now we're not going to be like going through duplicate cards the entire time. Looking at our white cards first, we'll go ahead and bring those in so that we can take a look at these. And we're going to look at white commons first and see what looks the best or the most promising here. When it dies, put counters on a creature you control, vigilance. When this enters, create a 1/1 white human soldier creature token. That's not bad. Creatures you control get +2/+0 until end of turn. If we go wide, that's not a bad card. Equipment. At the beginning of your end step, if you control 2 or more tap creatures, you gain 2 life. Focus Fire deals X damage to target attacking or blocking creature, where X is 2 plus the number of creatures and or spacecraft you control. Alright, so that's a good removal. We'll set that up here. Then we have Radiant Strike. Destroy target artifact or tap creature. That's good removal. We'll set that up here as well. Then we have Starport Security. Tap another target creature. This ability costs 2 less to activate if you control a creature with a +1/+1 counter on it. So a lot of stuff that seems kind of small, aside from the like big spacecraft. A lot of the creatures in this seem kind of like low to the ground. Weft Blade Enhancer. When this creature enters, put a 1/1 counter on each of up to 2 target creatures. It's not a bad card, but it's not removal. Whenever this creature becomes tapped, surveil 1. I really like this on a bear. Being able to actually sift through our deck seems pretty strong, so I like that card. This creature enters with a +1/+1 counter on it for each other creature and or artifact you control. Okay, so that's not bad. Flying, when it enters, return up to 1 target permanent you control to its owner's hand, so we can bounce something back if we need to. Then we do have Banishing Light, which is just a premium removal. We like that. And then also Squire's Lightblade. When this equipment enters, attach it to target creature you control. That creature gains first strike until end of turn. Equipped creature gets +1/+0. So I really do like all of the artifact synergy that's in here. Let's go ahead and take a look at our white uncommons. We have a Lifelinker. Destroy target non-land permanent. Okay, so that's extremely good. Its controller creates a lander token. That's not bad. We have this spacecraft. When it enters, create a 2/2 colorless robot. All right. Honored Knight Captain. When this creature enters, create a 1/1 white human soldier creature token. And then for 4 and 2 white, we could sacrifice this creature, search our library for an equipment card, put it onto the battlefield. I don't see any equipment in here that is just really over the top sticking out to me. I do like that Honor just cantrips. When this enters, exile up to 1 target non-assassin creature until this creature leaves the battlefield. Okay, so that's very good. There's good removal on that as well. When this creature enters, if an opponent controls more lands than you, create a lander token. That's good. Whenever this creature enters, put a 1/1 counter on target creature you control. Target creature gains double strike until end of turn. If it had a 1/1 counter on it, draw a card. Geez, that seems very good if we decide to go with like that green-white counter synergy. We have this Starfield Shepherd Angel. When this creature enters, search your library for a basic plains card or a creature card with mana value 1 or less, reveal it. So we can go grab a plains with that. That's pretty good. Double striking, 3-cost 2/2. We have a Rescue Skiff. When it enters, return target creature or enchantment card from your graveyard to the battlefield. That's kind of cool. And then reroute systems. Target creature, a target artifact or creature gains indestructible until end of turn, or deals 2 damage to target tapped creature. Okay, so 6 nice removal from white. We're gonna set the other stuff to the side. I really like removal, and so we're gonna put these all in a pile together, and that really sticks out to me as being some good stuff in white that we can work with. So let's set this to the side. And then before we move on from those, I do want to look through here. Let's take a look at our rares. We're just going to put them into piles together. I do think there's probably a world where we definitely are running white. We got a lot of good white cards. Blue, I'm not seeing so much, but we will look through it more closely when we get to it. We'll just put that in colorless. We did get that Sidewinder, which is nice. Oh, this. Whenever this artifact enters, exile all artifacts and creatures with mana value 2 or less. That seems like a good card that we could use. And then we also have this Inquisitor. We do have a nice hasty dragon as well in our red. Our red does not look bad. But let's go ahead and take a look at black, because I do see some very good cards in black. We have Sothera up here, the Super Void. We also have the 0-point Ballad, which we already talked about. That's destroy all creatures with toughness X or less. So we have like a modal. And then we have Chorale of the Void. Whenever enchanted creature attacks, put target creature card from defending player's graveyard onto the battlefield under your control, tapped and attacking. Then at the beginning, you sacrifice this aura unless a non-land permanent left the battlefield. I mean, there's some really good stuff in here. We also have a good spacecraft. So, like, black is looking kind of strong. Requiem Monolith. Until end of turn, target creature gains whenever this creature is dealt damage. You draw that many cards and lose that much life. That creature's controller may have this artifact deal 1 damage to it, activate only as a sorcery. That seems very good as well. So we'll keep all of these rares in mind as we continue building. Then we do have 2 lands here that help with fixing, with the Sacred Foundry and the Stomping Ground. And we also have the Command Bridge here, which is going to help with fixing as well. So let's set our rares there. Now let's go ahead and look through black. We'll start with uncommons. Actually, we'll start with commons. When this creature enters, until end of turn, another target creature you control gets +2/+0 and gains when this creature dies, return to the battlefield tapped. So that's not a bad card. As long as you control an artifact, this creature gets +1/+0 and has Death Touch. We have another Death Toucher. This creature gets -3/-0 until end of turn. Then if that creature's power is 0 or less, destroy it. This seems like a good little kill spell here. It's interesting. I'm going to put the Death Touchers up here as well, because Death Touch in a limited commander format like this seems very strong. If we control an artifact, this creature gets +1/+0 and has Death Touch. That seems good as well. You draw 2 cards, you lose 2 life. I do love draw in a format like this. If an online permanent left the battlefield this turn or a spell was warped this turn, instead you draw 2 cards. I do like draw as well. Decode Transmissions, 2 and a black. Sorcery, you draw 2 cards and you lose 2 life. If an online permanent left the battlefield this turn or a spell was warped this turn, instead you draw 2 cards and each opponent loses 2 life. That's interesting. Whenever this creature becomes tapped, you may sacrifice another creature or artifact if you do draw a card. That's interesting. We have exile target creature or spacecraft. I do love just hard removal like that. It's very nice. Menace, at the beginning of your end step, if a non-land permanent left the battlefield this turn or a spell was warped this turn, put a 1/1 counter on this creature. Geez, I feel like Shadow Mysterious Assassin is just feasting with this set. This spell costs 2 less to cast if a non-land permanent left the battlefield this turn. Target opponent reveals their hand, you choose a non-land card. As an additional cost to cast this spell, sack an artifact or creature. So for 1 black, we have a sorcery, destroy target creature or spacecraft. We like it. We have a beetle. When this creature enters, each opponent discards a card. That's each opponent discards a card. That's pretty good. Comet Crawler. Whenever this creature attacks, you may sack another creature or artifact. If you do, this creature gets +2/+0 until end of turn. Beamsaw Prospector. When it dies, create a lander token and Dark Endurance. +2/+0 and gains indestructible until end of turn. Okay, so black commons yielding some really nice stuff there. Let's see what black uncommons have. Sack another creature or artifact, Surveil. Then we have Dubious Delicacy. When this artifact enters, up to 1 target creature gets -3/-3 until end of turn. Sack this artifact, you gain 3 life. I mean, there's some really nice stuff going on with this food here. Some really nice stuff going on with this food. I like that. There's removal on it. We have a 4/1 Defender. I think that's the first time I've ever seen that. This thing crews like a beast. That is interesting. This crews and stations like an absolute monster. Vote Out has Convoke, destroy target creature. So that's the card that's from Among Us. Jeez, look at the art. All right. Whenever this creature or another creature or artifact you control dies, target opponent loses 1 life and you gain a life. All right, not a bad card. Flying, when this creature enters until end of turn, target creature you control gets +X/+0 until end of turn. Target creature an opponent controls gets -0/-X until end of turn, where X is a number of artifacts you control. All right, so like a white-black artifact theme is looking very strong right now. There are a lot of kill spells in black, and then we also have removal with Sothera. We also have the Godless Shrine, which is kind of speaking to me as well. So I'm thinking like probably Servandum, or one of the Servandums that we have over here could be a good way to go. You may cast this haste. You may cast this card from your graveyard using its warp ability. When this creature enters, destroy up to 1 other target creature. If that creature wasn't dealt damage this turn, its controller draws 2 cards. Wow, that's fun. First time I've seen an effect like that. At the beginning of your end step, if an online permanent left the battlefield this turn or a spell was warped this turn, you draw a card and you lose a life. So yeah, there's like some really good stuff here. Target creature gets -2/-0. That creature gets -10/-10 until end of turn, instead of an online permanent left the battlefield this turn. Like, that's amazing. All right, so the black-white removal is just extremely strong. Return target creature or spacecraft card with mana value 5 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield, then create a lander token. Okay, so white and black have some serious heat. However, I don't know if we have enough to actually build an entire deck out of it. We might have to pair with another card or another color, and I think that's probably where Infinite, the guideline station, is going to come into effect, because we do have some good stuff here, but I feel like we just have to run every single white and black card that we have. Let's keep looking through here, but I do see some very good stuff. I do see some very good cards in black that make me want to just jump in and build a black deck here. Whoops, I accidentally mixed all the commons and uncommons together. We didn't want to do that. We didn't want to do it, chat. Very good stuff there. Let's see what green has going on. Or actually, you know, like, I'm kind of really interested in red. I mean, if we're definitely going to go white-black just because of removal, because we know removal is good. I mean, green does have some stuff here that looks kind of big and kind of splashy. We have some fights in green. Destroy target artifact or enchantment. This creature's power and toughness are each equal to the number of lands you control. Yeah, there might be a good Abzan deck here, because then we can go into Dryadine and Hyleia as well. And then we just put both Servandums in the deck. I think there might be something there. And then we do have our green rares. Loading zone, if 1 or more counters would be put on a creature, spacecraft, or planet. We put twice that many. We We have this station guy whenever one or more 1/1 counters. Then we have this nice uncounterable creature. I don't know, there's some pretty good stuff. Yeah, I feel like that's probably the move. Let's look at green green commons. It deals damage equal its power to target creature an opponent controls. I mean, we could probably build something really strong if we just go Abzan. Create a lander token. Surveil. Add 1 mana of any color. Trample. Death touch. There's not a lot of bad stuff there. There's some pretty good stuff in green. Let me see if anything in red speaks to me. 3 damage to each opponent. Exile all artifacts with mana value 3 or less. Seems very, very strong. It seems very, very strong. 3 damage to target creature. It deals 5 damage instead if you control a spacecraft. So 2 costs 5 damage if we have a spacecraft. Whenever this creature attacks, you may pay 2. If you do, create a 2/2 colorless robot. Whenever land you control enters, this creature gets +2/+0. Vault Guard Trooper at the beginning of your end step. If you control 2 or more tapped creatures, you may discard your hand. If you do, draw 2. Target creature gets +3/+2. Create a lander token, then you may sacrifice an artifact. When you do, Litho Breaking deals 2 damage to each creature, so it's like a pyroclasm kind of effect. Whenever another creature or artifact you control enters, this creature deals 1 damage to each opponent. We have Debris Field Crusher. So at 8, it gains like a fire breathing. When it enters, deal 3 damage to any target, and then it gets fire breathing at 8+. But like good, like better fire breathing. So a red and 1 other gets +2/+0. Memorial Team Leader. Territorial Bruntar. So 6/6 Reachy. And then Systems Override. Gain control of target artifact or creature until end of turn. If it's a spacecraft, put 10 charge counters on it. If you do, remove 10 charge counters from it at the beginning of the next end step. Interesting. So System Override there. Then let's look at our red commons. This is a mana dork in red. Got the Sky Warden. Reach Void at the beginning of your end step. If a non-land permanent left the battlefield this turn or a spell was warped this turn, put a 1/1 counter. Or Plate Pangolin. Target creature you control gets +1/+1 and gains haste until end of turn. Activate only as a sorcery. Cav Landseeker. When this creature enters, create a lander token. Red Tiger Mechan. Hasty Warp. Target creature gets +3/+0 and gains first strike. Sack this artifact, create a tap 2/2 robot. When this enters, you may discard a card. If you do, draw 2 cards. Interesting. Slag Drill Scrapper. Sack it. Sacrifice another artifact or land, draw a card. Interesting. Plasma Bolt, 2 damage to any target. 3 damage instead of a non-land permanent left. Drill 2 Deep. Nebula Dragon. Bombard, 4 damage. Orbital Plunge, 6 damage to target creature. If excess damage was dealt this way, create a lander. Then Frontline War Rager. I'm really leaning toward like Mardu. Actually, like Mardu's looking really good. I do like the green, but I think there's probably a world where Mardu does really good. We have Devastating Onslaught. We have Ragost. We have Sammy. I think there's probably a nice Mardu deck here. We also have the Sacred Foundry that we can put in. Nova Hellkite. Rust Harvester. Each artifact card from your exile an artifact card from your graveyard. Put a 1/1 counter on this creature. Then it deals damage equal its power to any target. Jeez. Weapons Manufacturer. Whenever a non-token artifact you control enters, create a colorless artifact token named Munitions. And then Memorial Vault. Yeah, I think there's probably something good with Mardu. It fits with a lot of our rares. It seems strong. It seems strong. I'm just going to say that. We will take a glance through blue. 3 less to cast. Return target non-land permanent to its owner's hand. Flying, ward 2, that's good. Whenever this creature enters, creatures your opponents control get -3/-0 until end of turn. Ilovi Infiltrator, this creature can't be blocked if you cast 2 or more spells this turn. Codecracker Hound, when it enters, look at the top 2 cards of your library, put one into your hand and the other into your yard. Counter target spell. Atomic Microsizer. Whenever this creature becomes tapped, draw a card, then discard a card. Scour for scrap, choose one or both. The second spell you cast each turn costs 2 less to cast. There's some fine stuff in blue, but there's nothing really that's like sticking out to me as like especially gnarly other than that big blue rare that we got. When it enters or leaves the battlefield, draw a card. This is pretty good. Sack this artifact, put a stun counter on up to 1 target tap creature. That seems good. Lost in Space, target artifact or creature's owner puts it on their choice to the top or bottom. Got the Sentinel, Mental Modulation, 1 less to cast during your turn. Tap target artifact or creature, draw a card. Divert Disaster. It's a good card as well. Oops. Ilovi Operative, Light Jammer. When it enters, tap target artifact or creature an opponent controls and put a stun counter on it. Sinister Cryologist. Surveil 2. As long as this artifact entered the battlefield under your control this turn, this creature can attack as though it didn't have defender. I mean, the blue is like okay, but again, nothing that I'm seeing that's really going to close out the game. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make an executive decision here so that we can move forward and into the building phase. And that decision that I'm going to make is that we are going to do Mardu. And Mardu at the helm is going to be Infinite Guideline Station. This is going to be our commander. Legendary artifact spacecraft. So this will be our commander of the deck. We are going to commit to Mardu colors. So we're going to go white, red, and black. That's going to get us a Godless Shrine. Oops, that's not a Godless Shrine. That's going to get us a Godless Shrine. This thing goes away even though it's very good. I'll just put this in a sleeve. And then we are going to use the command bridge, obviously. We want that. I do like the idea of having a scavenger grounds in the deck, sack a desert, and it is a desert to exile all graveyards. That's something that we might be able to use to our advantage. Wait, we don't need these. We don't need these sleeved. What am I doing? These are going in the deck. And then we don't need Eldrazi Temple or Deserted Temple. I don't think we need either of those. A reminder that we are putting in the command tower, the Soul Ring, and the Signet, as we mentioned at the beginning of the video. Let's cut everything that isn't Mardu colors. That's Mardu, 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 Mardu. And then we'll have one of these. Search your library for a legendary creature card, reveal it. And then from here, what is worth playing? Well, that guy, this. We won't run the... I mean, all this stuff is playable. We'll go ahead and put our Cradle Land into a sleeve. And then we don't need green. We don't need blue. So that leaves us with the rest of this stuff here. And from our rares, black. Can use the Sacred Foundry. We want the Hellkite. You know what? We'll do the Stomping Ground because here's the thing. If we're going to run Infinite, because there's going to be Lander tokens, I do think that there's a world where we are able to at least have one of each color. We also have the command tower and the command bridge. So if we are in 5 color, I think there's a world where we can kind of like mess around a little bit with that. But these blue cards, the battleship, that's worth trying out. Move these over to the side here. Okay, so this is what we're building with. The first thing I want to do is I want to move all of our removal over. So let's get our removal into here. Let's set all this to the side. And we are going to build Mardu. First thing I want to do is get all my lands taken care of here. Infinite is going to be our commander. So a reminder of what Infinite does. Wooburg for legendary artifact spacecraft 7-15. When Infinite Guideline Station enters, create a tapped 2/2 colorless robot artifact creature token for each multicolored permanent you control, and it has station. And once it has 12 on it, it becomes a flying 7/15, and when it attacks, draw a card for each multicolored permanent you control. So we do have multicolored permanents with our white-black stuff, our white-red stuff, that kind of stuff. And hopefully we will be able to make something that makes sense with all of our cards that we have here. So let's start with removal and see what we can come up with. And then we will take this over to Moxfield and look at the deck more closely once we are done. So, Banishing Light, we talked about that being good. Radiant Strike, Focus Fire, Reroute Systems. This is a creature that comes in and exiles something, so we like this as well. Four-cost creature. Then we have Emergency Eject. Destroy target non-land permanent. Its controller creates a lander token. Alright, so we might do that on our own stuff if shit really hits the fan. Then we have black removal. 1 cost. Yeah, this is just going to be like the removal deck. But you know what? Decks like that do very well. This guy isn't removal, so we'll set him to the side for a second. Yeah, this is good. Vote out. Pretty good. Dubious Delicacy. 3 cost. Gravkill. Graveblade Heavy. It's just like a dude with Death Touch on it. We have the Death Touching 1/1 and then Depressurize 2 cost. Now let's get our red in here. Red removal. Haste and Warp. Draw on that. Draw. Want to just run like a bunch of draw. We have Plasma Bolt. That's a good removal. Drill Too Deep has Destroy Target Artifact on it. I like that. Bombard, we mentioned earlier, ends up being a good card. And then Orbital Plunge. 6 damage to target creature. If excess damage was dealt, create a lander token. And then we also have Frontline. Alright, so just taking a look before we start to add creatures to the deck and draw and all that good stuff. We're looking at some pretty stacked removal here going on. There is definitely some stuff that we can put in here that is going to make the deck stand out. We have 0 Point Ballad. Want to put this in here as well because this is destroy all creatures with toughness X or less. You lose X life. If X is 6 or more, return a creature card. So this is literally a board wipe. We're going to put that in here because at the minimum cost we can do that is 2 for it to matter. We also have. Oh well, let's run the shiny one for funsies. Might as well, right? Set this over here. Then we do have Sothera, which is just gnarly as well as a 4 cost. At the beginning of your end step, if you control 2 or more tapped creatures, create a robot. I mean, this is just amazing. All right, so now what we need to do is let's fill this deck out with some bombs, and then we're going to work on filling it out with some creatures that are just going to be generically good to help with the curve. So definitely want Dawnsire. That's something really fun that we can work toward. Devastating Onslaught. Create X tokens that are copies of target artifact or creature you control. Those tokens gain haste. I don't know how much we're going to care about that, but we'll set it to the side and we'll consider it. Tanic Steadfast Second. Other creatures you control have haste. That's good enough for me. There's other text on it, but we don't even care. But it is very good. At the top end, Extinguisher Battleship. Seems very good. 8 cost that we can eventually get to. Nice for the top end of a deck. We like that. Having stuff to help close out the game seems good. Lightstall Inquisitor. Any other bombs in here? We got the Monolith. Battle Cruiser. At 8 or more, Flying Death Touch. When the spacecraft attacks, each opponent discards a card. Each opponent who can't loses 3 life. That is very good as well. In the 4-drop. Nova Hellkite. That's a good bomb. We'll put that here at the 5. Weapons Manufacturing Memorial Vault. We also have Ragost, which has a nice... Artifacts you control are foods. There's a lot of artifact synergy, so I think we just run Ragost as a 2-drop. It seems very nice, especially if we could sack a food to deal 3 damage to each opponent. That seems strong. We also have the Sarima. Flying 5/5. Other tapped legendary creatures you control have indestructible. This seems like a nice 3-drop. Servandum will be in there, the uncommon one, and then we'll also have the 2-drop. Vigilance Menace. Whenever another creature you control dies or is put in exile, put a 1/1 counter on it, and then we're able to get it back. And then we also have this thing that we already talked about is pretty good as a 4-drop. Our 4-drops are pretty stacked, so let's see what we can work on with the curve. We currently have... $33 cards. I'd say we need probably about 30 more, which includes our commander. So 33 plus 30, that's 63. That leaves us 37 lands. I like that. We do have to keep in mind Soul Ring is going to be a card that comes in. Arcane Signet is going to be a card that comes in. That is the allowance that we gave ourselves, and then the rest of this stuff is lands. So let's see what we got here. I'm looking for stuff that is generically good. Let's start with uncommons, and then we will look through commons. Lifelinking 4/5 for 6. At the beginning of your end step, if you control 2 or more tapped creatures, put a 1/1 counter on each creature you control other than this creature. That is amazing. That is absolutely worth being in the deck. Wedged Light Rammer. 3 and a white. When the spacecraft enters, create a 2/2 colorless robot. And it has station. And if we get it to 9+, flying and first strike is what we get. That's okay. We're going to set that to the side. Honored Knight Captain, 1 and a white. When this creature enters, create a 1/1 white human soldier creature token. Sack this creature. Search your library for an equipment card. Put it onto the battlefield, then shuffle. It seems kind of medium. I like Honor because this card cantrips. It's just going to allow us to get through our deck. Sunstar Expansionist. Whenever this creature enters, if an opponent controls more lands than you, create a lander token. We like this guy. It's a 2-drop that's a 2/3. It gets bigger. It helps us with land and fixing. We have a 2/2 for 3. Whenever this creature enters, put a 1/1 counter on target creature you control. Whenever a non-token creature you control with a 1/1 counter on it dies, create a 1/1 white human soldier creature token, and it has warp. It seems okay. Set that here. Target creature you control gains double strike until end of turn. If it had a 1/1 counter on it, draw a card. That seems fine. Double strike does seem good. That is a very good combat trick. You know what? Yeah, we'll put it in the considering with the devastating onslaught there. Flying Angel, when it enters, search your library for a basic plains card or a creature card with mana value 1 or less. I think we like this. Nice little 5-drop here. Dual Sun Adepts, double strike creatures you control get +1/+1 until end of turn. And then Rescue Skiff is our last white uncommon. 5/6 for 6. When the spacecraft enters, return target creature or enchantment card from your graveyard to the battlefield, and it has station. It seems kind of good. Seems kind of good. We want there to be spaceships. This is kind of the point of this deck. Let's look through our other white cards here. Flying. When it enters, return up to 1 target permanent you control to its owner's hand. This creature enters with a 1/1 counter on it. If you control another, for each other artifact, excuse me. This creature enters with a 1/1 counter on it for each other creature and or artifact you control. So this guy could come in and be very big as a 4-drop. Let's put that in the big considering over here. We have a Pilot. When this creature becomes tapped, surveil 1. Really like that on a 2-drop. I like that a lot. Weftblade Enhancer. 3/4, when this creature enters, put a 1/1 counter on each of up to 2 target creatures, and it has Warp. Starsport Security. Starport Security. Tap another target creature. This ability costs 2 less to activate if you control a creature with a 1/1 counter on it. I don't think we have a ton of counter synergy. Flight Deck Coordinator. At the beginning of your end step, if you control 2 or more tap creatures, you gain 2 life. So 3/3 with some upside. Not bad. I think we like that. Auxiliary Boosters. When this equipment enters, create a 2/2 colorless robot. Seems okay. Zealous Display. Creatures you control get +2/+0 until end of turn. If it's not your turn, untap those creatures. Ooh, that is a big combat trick. We like that. Night Luminary. When this creature enters, create a 1/1 white human soldier, and it has Warp. So we warp it in for 2. It makes a 1/1. Then we can cast it later for 4. We have a Vigilance here for 3. This creature gets +2/+0 as long as you've cast 2 or more spells this turn. It's okay. And Dock Worker Drone. When this creature enters with a 1/1 counter on it, when it dies, put its counters on target creature you control. I like that as well in the 2-drop slot. So we'll set that white stuff to the side here. Now let's look at black cards. Got the Mardu. Interesting Mardu. We'll run one of each land, I guess. A blue and a green, because why not? We want to be able to cast infinite if we want. Let's look at black cards here, starting with black uncommons. Umbral Collar Zealot. Sack another creature or artifact to surveil 1. It's interesting. This is a way to turn on the cards that say do something crazy if you warped. You know what? Hold on. Before we do those, let's look at the rares. I want to look at rares. Enchant artifact you control. When this aura enters, exile target creature and opponent control. Yes, that. Very good removal. We want it. Pinnacle Star Cage. When it enters, exile all artifacts and creatures with mana value 2 or less until it leaves. This just seems like really good. I know it's situational, but it seems strong. Requiem Monolith. Until end of turn, target creature gains. When this creature is dealt damage, you draw that many cards and lose that much life. Yeah, this seems like a really good draw engine, so we'll put that in the deck as well. This deck looks, honestly, pretty strong. The Sunset Saboteur. If it were... Man, if it were constructed, I think I would run this, but a 4/1 with Menace that just dies whenever this creature attacks, put a 1/1 counter target creature and opponent controls. I don't think it has a home in here, sadly. So we'll set it to the side. Trail of the Void. When it attacks, put target creature card from defending player's graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. I want to try this out. I think it's pretty good. Weapons Manufacturing. Yeah, we like that. Memorial Vault. Exile another artifact. Exile the top X cards of... Sacrifice another artifact. Exile the top X cards of your library where X is 1 plus the mana value of the sacrifice artifact. You may play those cards this turn. Seems like a pretty good 4-drop as well, honestly. We got the Lightstall Inquisitor Vigilance. When this creature enters, each opponent exiles a card from their hand and may play that card for as long as it remains exiled. Each spell cast this way costs 1 more to cast. Each land played this way enters tapped. Yeah, that's a good 1-drop. That is a good 1-drop, and then we also... That's a good 1-drop, and then we also have Rust Harvester. For 1 red, we get a Menace 1/1. Exile an artifact card from your graveyard. Put a 1/1 counter on this creature. Then it deals damage equal its power to any target. So that seems fun as well. Menace 1/1. Actually, this seems kind of like a build around. I don't know how many artifacts we're going to have in our graveyard for this to actually matter. So I think we're going to cut that to... Takes our card count to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 50. So we need like 13 more cards for the main deck. Let's see what we got in black uncommon. Defender. Got the 4/1 Defender. This thing just seems really good for anything that we want to station. So let's put that in. The Fell Grav Ship. When it enters, mill 3 cards, then return a creature or spacecraft card from your graveyard to your hand. As an additional cost to cast this spell, sack an artifact or creature, return target creature or spacecraft card with mana value 5 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield, then create a lander token. Seems kind of good. Lander token is going to give us some nice fixing. Blade of the Swarm. Put 2 1/1 counters on this creature, or put target exile card with warp onto the bottom of its owner's library. Voidforge Titan. At the beginning of your end step, if an non-land permanent left the battlefield this turn or spell was warped this turn, you draw a card and lose 1 life. I like that. I like that a lot. We want draw. Haste. You may cast this card from your graveyard using its warp ability. I don't think so. Whenever you sacrifice another creature or artifact, put a 1/1 counter on this creature. So it's just going to get bigger. Vampire Cleric. Space Vampire. It's a Space Vampire, you guys. Whenever this creature or another creature or artifact you control dies, target opponent loses 1 life and you gain a life. Artifact dying. Yep. That seems good. That guy seems good. Hold on. Let's look through some of our other black cards here. Want to see what we have for draw. When this creature enters until end of turn, another target creature you control gets +2/+0 and gains. When this creature dies, return it to the battlefield tapped under its owner's control. It's not bad. 4/5 for 5. Flying 2/1. When this creature dies, create a tap 2/2 colorless robot. Decode Transmission. You draw 2 cards, you lose 2 life. I want to run that. Flying... When it becomes tapped, you may sacrifice another creature or artifact. If you do, draw a card. It's not a bad 4-cost. Menace. At the beginning of your end step, if a non-land permanent left the battlefield this turn or a spell was warped, put a 1/1 counter on this creature. Temporal Intervention. Target opponent reveals their hand. Got the Beetle. When it enters, each opponent discards a card. That seems fine. Lifelink. When this creature attacks, you may sacrifice another creature or artifact. If you do, it gets +2/+0. Beamsaw Prospector, 2/1. When this creature dies, create a lander token. Yeah, we like that. We like that. And then Dark Endurance. Target creature gets +2/+0 and gains indestructible. We like a good combat trick like that as well. Let's see what red gives us as far as removal. 3 damage each opponent. Exile artifacts with mana value 3 or less. I like this. Molecular Modifier. Got the big station guy here. Flying Haste. I think I like that. It's very chill, but stuff like that is good. Invasive Maneuvers. It's good removal. Elemental. Trooper, at the beginning of your end step, if you control 2 or more tapped creatures, you may discard your hand. If you do, draw 2 cards. I like that could help us out. Create a lander token. Then you may sacrifice an artifact. When you do, it deals 2 damage to each creature. So we can create a lander token. This is just like red fixing. I like it. Whenever another creature or artifact you control enters, this creature deals 1 damage to each opponent. Yes. Yes. Debris Field Crusher. When it enters, it deals 3 damage to any target. And then it gets... Yeah, I like it. I like it. Memorial Team Leader. Whenever a land you control enters, exile cards from the top of your library until you exile a non-land card. You may cast that card this turn. Jeez, that thing is freaking awesome. For a 6 cost... That is amazing, that landfall ability. System Override, gain control. No, we're good on that. Last push here, flying. When this creature enters, it deals 3 damage to any target. That's a 7 cost flyer. I don't like that rate for a 4/4. I do like that this taps to add red. I think we're going to run that. Reach 4/5 at the beginning of your end step. If a non-land permanent left the battlefield this turn, put a 1/1 counter on this creature. So there is a lot of counter synergy. Whenever another artifact you control enters, you may pay 1. If you do, put a 1/1 counter on this creature. That guy seems like he could get kind of big for a 2-drop. Target creature you control gets +1/+1 and gains haste until end of turn. Activate only as a sorcery. Got a Menace 4/3. When it enters, create a lander token at the beginning of the end step. On your next turn, sacrifice that token. Interesting. Interesting 4-drop there. Haste and Warp 3/3 for 4. First strike. When this artifact enters, you may discard a card. If you do, draw 2 cards. I like this. And then we also have sacrifice another artifact or land to draw a card. So that's an interesting little 1-drop. All right, so just looking at our removal package, it's pretty stacked. So what this means is we're probably going to cut some stuff here. So this premium removal, we like that. This, target creature gains indestructible or 2 damage to target tap creature. I like the versatility on this. We'll probably keep this. X damage to target attacking or blocking creature, where X is 2 plus the number of creatures and spacecraft you control. Even though this card reads really well, it's kind of medium and we do need to make a cut, so that'll be one of our cuts. Tragic Trajectory. I like that this can be massive. If a permanent left the battlefield this turn, but it is sorcery speed, which means that it's not going to operate like a Tragic Slip. So even though I do like this, I don't like that it's not instant, so we're going to go ahead and make a cut because cuts need to be made. As an additional cost to cast this spell, sack an artifact or creature. Destroy target creature or spacecraft. I like that this is extremely cheap. Even though it's sorcery speed, we're going to keep it. Plasma Bolt deals 2 damage to any target. Or Void 3 damage instead if a non-land permanent left the battlefield this turn or a spell was warped. Because this is sorcery speed and it's only damage, this is going to be one of our cuts. We have Invasive Maneuvers. Instant speed. 3 damage to target creature. 5 damage instead if you control a spacecraft. I like the rate on that. This is a board wipe, so we're going to keep it. -3, -0 until end of turn. Then if that creature's power is 0 or less, destroy it. This is just a little bit too specific, so it's going to be one of our cuts. I like this one. 3 damage to each opponent, which is strong, but it also has exile all artifacts with mana value 3 or less. This can absolutely hose some of our opponents that just have like extremely strong, like a massive amount of artifacts. This is going to be a good card, so we'll keep it. Flash. When this artifact enters, up to 1 target creature gets -3/-3 until end of turn, and then you can sack it to gain life, or sack it to have target opponent lose 3 life. So it has life gain on it. It also has removal on it. It also has life loss on it. I think I like this card. Banishing Light, that's hard removal. Hard removal. Pinnacle Starcage. When this artifact enters, exile all artifacts and creatures with mana value 2 or less until this artifact leaves the battlefield. It's kind of doing the same thing that this red card is doing, but it also cleans up a ton of like token synergies. So I kind of like this card. I think we're going to keep this one. Bombard, just straight up 4 damage to target creature. Instant speed, we like this. 6 damage to target creature. If excess damage was dealt this way, create a lander token. I like 6 damage. Slethera is just nutty. Vote out is very good as well. Grab kill, very good as well. And then destroy target artifact or tap creature, you gain 3 life. This card is a little bit medium. We'll cut it, and if we need to bring something in, that'll probably be something that we bring back in. So let's bring this in. Let me make sure about our count. 38. So with our removal package that we're about to bring in, that'll take us to 53, which means out of this stuff here, we can bring in 10 more cards. So Arcane Signet, that's 1. We're also going to bring in Soul Ring, that's 2. So we need to cut 4 of these. I like Honor because it cantrips. I like this because it draws cards. Put 5 counters on it or destroy target artifact. This is probably one of our cuts. We already have a lot of artifact destruction in here. That one can probably go. Whenever a non-token artifact you control enters, create a colorless artifact token named Munitions. 2 damage to any target. We like this. Dark Endurance. It's a neat combat trick. I don't know how much we need it, because I don't know how much we care about our creatures dying. Probably not too much. So we can make a cut there. Create a lander token. We like that card. It's good fixing for us. Requiem Monolith. We've already decided that's an excellent card draw. Scrounge for Eternity. I think Scrounge can be cut. Decode Transmissions. Draw 2 cards, lose 2 life. We like that as well. +2/+0 until end of turn. If it's not your turn, untap those creatures. This is just a really good combat trick, hard to ignore. Memorial Vault. Sack another artifact. Exile the top X cards of your library where X is 1. I don't know how many artifacts we can just be like sacrificing. So I think we probably cut Memorial and we'll run this card of the Void. Let me do one final count and then I think we are good. 63, and that leaves us with 37 lands. So now instead of looking through all the cards physically here on the table, what we're going to do is go ahead and port in this entire deck and then take it into Moxfield, and we're going to continue the video there. So I do have Command Bridge, Scavenging Grounds. These are the lands that we brought in, Sacred Foundry and Stomping Ground, Godless Shrine, all of this for fixing. And I did bring in 1 island and 1 forest, and the reason is because we have a lot of lander tokens that can be made, so we could potentially get out our commander, which would be absolutely nutty. So it's a Mardu Infinite Guideline Station deck that does splash for blue and green just in case we can get there. So let's look at the deck in Moxfield and we'll give it our final thoughts. All right, so we do have the entire deck ported over into Moxfield. Now, I love Moxfield not only because it's an easy to use service, it's a great spot to put your decks online. You can share them with people, that kind of stuff. You get these really nice visual stacks of everything. It's very easy to see. But the one reason, this is why I love Moxfield so much, is you can actually tag stuff. Now, I've already tagged everything in here. So we can look through the deck. We can look at sorceries, enchantments, instants, lands, and so on. Or you can enable the tags that I have used here. And I really like it because we have our commander, we have our recursion, untagged artifacts, board wipe, removal damage, untagged creatures, death touch, removal, which comes in the form of exile, destroy, untagged instance, draw, and so on. So you can see we have lander fixing here. So you're able to take the deck you built, refine it, tag it, and then you can start to get down into the numbers and be like, well, I have so much removal. So like, for example, if you were to look at this deck, you can also see our staples here. These are our 3 allowances. But if you're to look through this deck, you're like, okay, Jake, so you've got 14 removal spells that come in the form of either exile, destroy, or -1/-1 counters. You also have removal damage, 9 spells that are removal all damage. So I probably went like heavy removal, but I'm the kind of person that in Commander, having an answer to stuff is always something that I like to do. Some people might be like, no, but you're not letting me do my thing. People who do their thing will combo off and win. So I like to have removal so that I'm able to stop that. We also have removal in the way of Death Touch here as well. So let's go over some of this stuff and what we have going on. We've got Infinite Guideline Station as our commander, as we've already talked about. Really fun card. I think that this is cool. It's a way to generate a lot of creatures as well if we can ever get it out. We have recursion here. We have ways to get stuff out of opponents' graveyards. We have tons and tons of removal. We even have a board wipe like we pulled with 0 Point Ballad. We have all sorts of stuff here with Dawnsire, which is going to come in, deal 100 damage of up to one target creature if we can get it to 10 plus. And then if we get it to 20 plus, it becomes a flying 20/20, which is just an absolute freaking monster to deal with. We have all sorts of stuff in here like Debris Field Crusher, which is going to come and deal 3 damage to any target. And then you can station it. What's really cool about this set is we have removal that is stapled onto creatures or these spaceships that we can later on turn into stuff. I really like the versatility of that because a lot of these are just creatures that have good abilities, or I should say spacecraft that have good abilities that once you turn them into creatures, now they are a viable threat that is in the air. That kind of stuff, which is really neat. The same is true with stuff like Extinguisher Battleship. When it enters, destroy target non-creature permanent, then this spacecraft deals 4 damage to each creature. We're destroying a non-creature permanent, we're dealing 4 damage to each creature, and then once we get 5 charge counters on this, it's a freaking 10/10 flying trampler. What is not to like about this other than the casting cost? If I'm in big mana, if I'm playing like a clunky kind of casual commander deck, I love a card like this. You could slot it into anything, and it's doing all sorts of great stuff. It destroys non-creature permanents. I mean, this card is freaking awesome. It's like, for 1 more mana, you're getting like a better Spine of a Shah that comes in, destroys a non-land permanent, deals 4 damage to each creature, and then you can freaking station this thing, and now it's a freaking flying threat. I love it. And then we have all sorts of other fun stuff here. You have stuff like Litho Breaking, which you're going to see not only is Litho Breaking in this removal damage category, but this is also in the Lander category, which is over here. You can see it makes a Lander token, then you may sacrifice an artifact. So you could sacrifice that Lander token, and then you get a Pyroclasm type effect. But if you don't do that, then you can like sacrifice like a treasure to get that Pyroclasm effect. Or because it's a May, you could just be like, nope, I just need to, for 2 in a red, make a Lander token. Because we are in 5 color, technically, even though it's mostly Mardu, because we are in 5 color, we do have 5 cards here that are Lander related that are fixing. So because we're going to probably find, you know, given our staples here, like our Command Tower, our Signet, our Soul Ring, we also have the Sacred Foundry, the Stomping Ground, the Command Bridge that we pulled. We have pretty good fixing already, so most likely we're going to get to our red, our white, and our black easily. But if we have a little bit of trouble, let's use our Lander tokens to get our 1 blue mana that we have here, or our 1 green mana that we have as well. Now, there are a couple cards in here that I'm not super high on. One of them is up here. Galvanizing Sawship. This is fine. We're playing this for a 5 and a red. You could station it for 3, and then it becomes a 6/5 flying haste, which is pretty cool. This is awesome. You could, you know, get this out and then play something with a 3 power or more and like immediately station this, and now you're swinging. I think that that's good, but I would probably cut this. I would probably cut maybe another spell from the deck, because I'm sure some of you noticed, and I'm sure some of you like left a comment already, but I missed a couple cards that were in our colorless pile as I was building. And I want to go over those cards really quick. The first one I want to go over is the All Fate Scroll. For 3 mana, we're getting a tap, add 1 mana of any color. I don't hate this. And then it also has draw built into it as well. So for 7 and tap, sack this artifact, draw X cards, where X is a number of differently named lands you control. We have a Stomping Ground. We have a Sacred Foundry. We have a Godless Shrine. We have Wooburg, different lands. We have a Command Tower. This card is going to be very, very good in decks that are just filled with a ton of non-basics. But I think it's a card that's worth considering in here because we are in 5 color. And then you have Pinnacle Killship. For 7 mana, we're getting a, when this spacecraft enters, it deals 10 damage to up to 1 target creature. Not saying like we need more removal, but if we wanted to remove a removal and then also bring in something that could be a creature later, this is a great card to do so. At 7+ charge counters, it becomes a flying 7/7, which is not bad. Then we have the Caesarian Dirgecraft. For 4 and a black, we get when the spacecraft enters, each opponent sacks a non-token creature. This is a card I would probably bring in. This is probably what I would bring in over the red flying haste like we were just talking about. Getting each opponent to sacrifice something is very good. And then you could station this later and it just becomes a 4/3 flyer. It's not bad. Once it's stationed, it's kind of cool. We got the Bygone Colossus, which is very interesting, and if we had like kind of haste magic, this is something I would be interested in considering. It's definitely something I'm considering for my Imskir deck because I can warp it in for 3 and then use Imskir's ability to just fling it at somebody for 9. This seems like very, very strong. I don't think it makes it into this deck, but I just wanted to highlight this card so anybody watching was like, okay, Jake totally missed the colorless cards, and that's why I'm covering these. Dauntless Scrapbot. So for 3, we get a 3/1. When this creature enters, exile each opponent's graveyard and create a lander token. So this is another card that I would absolutely bring in because we already talked about fixing, because we already talked about the lander token being good. Not only does this create a lander token allow us to like fix our mana, it also comes with exile each opponent's graveyard on entering. So I think this card is extremely strong as an uncommon, and it would probably be brought in over something possibly like Zealous Display. This isn't a bad card. Creatures you control get +2/+0 until end of turn. If it's not your turn, untap those creatures. I think that this is a great combat trick, but I think there's probably some stuff that we could cut to bring that in. I also have this guy who's really good for stationing in here, but if we aren't playing a ton of spaceships, this is probably something that could be cut for the guy that we were just talking about that exiles all graveyards. But come in here, take a look at the deck. I think it looks very strong. We ended with 9 draw spells as well. I love having cards that draw. This card is an amazing uncommon, 4 and 2 red for a 6/6 reach with landfall. Whenever a land you control enters, exile cards from the top of your library until you exile a non-land card. You may cast that card this turn. What a great uncommon. What good velocity. We're just like digging in. If I'm playing limited, I am absolutely running this card if I am in red. It is fantastic to have at the top end. This is one of my favorite landfall abilities that I have ever seen. We also have stuff like Vault Guard Trooper that has like a nice looting effect. We have this guy as well. At the beginning of your end step, if a non-land permanent left the battlefield this turn or spell was warped this turn, you can draw a card and lose a life. Having 9 cards that not only double as like bodies, like some of them double as bodies. And the reason that draw is so good in Magic is because it's going to allow you to dig through your deck. As we have more and more cards in our hand, we have more and more answers, we have more and more removal to draw, more and more threats to play, and ultimately, if we have a handful of resources, we are going to be able to win the game. Let me know what you think of this deck. I'm very proud of it. I want to give it a shot at some point. I love that we ended up going 5 color for our break and build. This is the first time that we ever attempted to 5 color, and I think it looks pretty good. But I want to know what you think in the comments. Again, thank you so much. Check out the link in the description. Head on over to Moxfield. You can take a better look at the deck if you're interested in it. If you are somebody who wants to get the most out of your box break experience, if you want to do something a little bit more than just pick and choose some cards for your commander decks or your constructed deck, this is a really fantastic way to utilize your play box, build yourself a deck, make it a memorable experience. Find some other friends. If they're buying boxes as well, be like, hey guys, let's all give ourselves this allowance. We're each going to get an Arcane Signet, a Command Tower, and a Soul Ring. But other than that, we have to build the whole deck out of an Edge of Eternities box. And then you all give yourself that restriction. No one is super overpowered. Sure, somebody might have a really powerful mythic, but that's what Commander is all about. It's about checks and balances. If you enjoyed this video, I encourage you to click like and subscribe. Come back in the future and join us for the next break and build. I'm Jake. This is Martishius Magic, and goodbye!